Now at 5, a chase ends with the arrest of a man originally charged with kidnapping and attempted murder. Plus, empower area female business leaders of various generations. And
debt talks intensify with the deadline looming. I'm Nicole D'Antonio at the White House with today's meeting between top congressional leaders and President Biden.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A chase across state lines ends with the arrest of a Columbus man wanted by police. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The chase began in Joplin when police noticed a pickup truck believed to be driven by a suspect out of Cherokee County, Kansas. The chase left Joplin, passed through Jasper County before ending near Crestline, Kansas, by the Missouri border. That's where authorities arrested Stephen Tyner of Columbus, who was wanted in Cherokee County for rape, attempted murder, and kidnapping, and the stabbing of a woman in Galena back in December. That woman survived. It's the first anniversary of the murder of Kenneth J. Matthews in Joplin. According to the Joplin Police Department, Matthews was walking with a friend around 6 p.m. 1 year ago on South Conner Avenue. Matthews was shot multiple times and was pronounced dead at the scene. The shooter fled in a dark-colored vehicle. A year later, the JPD is still looking for that shooter.
We don't believe it was a random act. We absolutely believe this was targeted towards them specifically. Which individual, we're not sure, but we know that there was some involvement prior to this event with each other.
If you have any information, you should contact the Joplin Police Department. The Miami, Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce is trying to empower female entrepreneurs. The chamber hosted a Women in Business Connection luncheon featuring a presentation titled Closing the Generation Gap. It was a chance for female business leaders to network and to find common ground among entrepreneurs of varying ages.
Understanding, talking about the generations and the different preferences that people have. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is just getting to understand them better and starting to flex a little bit. It's almost like speaking each other's language.
The luncheon was hosted at the Miami Regional Chamber of Office. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, another gloomy day for us today. A lot of clouds, kind of on and off, a drizzle throughout the day. And that's what we're going to see as we go through the evening hours. You can see we're sucked in with the clouds, and we do still have pockets of light drizzle across the region. But this wave is slowly working out of here, so we are going to see improvements as we go through the next couple days. Temperatures kind of chilly, 62 in Carthage, 62 at Grand Lake. Pittsburgh is sitting at 63 degrees through the evening. Slide back through the 60s, near 60 by midnight. I do think we're going to get some patchy fog in here as the clouds start to break up and the winds completely diminish a little bit later on tonight. So be careful if you are going to be on the roadways. So drizzle, a little bit of fog, warming up tomorrow. Thunderstorms Thursday night into Friday, cooling back down, especially the overnights. Heading into the weekend, we're going to have those details for you here in just a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. President Biden held a second meeting this afternoon with leaders of Congress about the debt ceiling. Time is running short and the two sides are still far apart, but spirits were higher about the possibility of reaching a deal after today's meeting. Nicole D'Antonio reports from the White House on the negotiations.
We're having a wonderful time.
President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris sat down with congressional leaders at the White House to try to hash out differences on the debt limit.
The president's team has been, and the congressional members, their team have been meeting for the past several days, and it's been, as we see it, very productive.
The leaders are honing in on possible areas of agreement, including rescinding unspent COVID relief money and areas where there's a wider gap, like beefing up work requirements for government aid recipients and student debt relief.
It is possible to get a deal by the end of the week. It's not that difficult to get to an agreement.
A group of demonstrators protested the risk of a default outside of congressional offices. In a letter, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told lawmakers the U.S. could run out of cash as early as June 1st. Both sides say they want an agreement before the deadline.
Why are they waiting till the midnight hour? Why is the president's known about this date too?
There are warnings that defaulting on federal debt will lead to an economic meltdown.
The only group of people in Washington threatening a default are House Republicans.
The clock is ticking on this showdown. President Biden leaves for Japan Wednesday, but CBS News has learned he's cutting the rest of his international trip short because of the looming deadline. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, the White House.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says work requirements for Medicaid are a red line for him and that it's risky for President Biden to still take his international trip with so little time left. The Senate Judiciary Committee is trying to get a grip on artificial intelligence, grilling executives today about the safety of this new technology. Some lawmakers say there's a need for ground rules with AI, even expressing concern over the upcoming election cycle. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said lawmakers face a tough challenge as the technology is so vast and constantly evolving. Congress also has a weak track record developing guardrails for previous innovations like the internet and social media. Still ahead, why some infectious disease experts say you should hold on to your masks. Plus, the sign that your lungs might not be as healthy as you think. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, don't ditch your masks just yet. Infectious disease experts at George Washington University School of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health say masking should continue in healthcare settings. The group cites real-world experience preventing COVID-19 transmission when patients and staffers are wearing masks. Their newly released commentary contradicts U.S. researchers recommending an end to universal masking. Even occasional cannabis use during the early stages of pregnancy can reduce a baby's birth weight. That's according to researchers at Central Michigan University who found occasional cannabis use during the first trimester reduces birth weight significantly, and the continued use through pregnancy had an even more pronounced impact on newborns. A new study suggests severe hot flashes in women after menopause increases the risk for metabolic syndrome and high blood pressure. Researchers examined data from more than 800 healthy Greek women ages 40 to 65 who had recently gone through menopause. They found that those with moderate to severe hot flashes were more likely to develop the conditions and are strong candidates for hormone replacement therapy. COPD, pneumonia, and lung cancer are all serious lung diseases that can drastically impact a person's quality of life, sometimes can even be fatal. However, early intervention can make a difference when it comes to treatment and outcomes. And there are certain signs that you should be on the lookout for that might show your lungs are not healthy. A cough for a few weeks after having the flu or bronchitis is possibly nothing to sneeze at, but a chronic cough that persists for much longer can signal something more serious like mesothelioma cancer, which is caused by asbestos exposure. Smoking has long been associated with lung cancer, but
the biggest risk factor, it turns out, for getting lung cancer is having lungs.
There's a good number that can have cancers that have never smoked.
However, shoulder pain can be linked to lung cancer when a pulmonary embolism happens. Some other signs to look for possible lung trouble. Blue fingernails can be a sign of cyanosis, a condition where there's not enough oxygen circulating throughout the blood. Swelling in your legs can be a sign of a blood clot that can travel to your lungs. And issues with memory and concentration, morning headaches, and constantly feeling tired can all be symptoms of sleep apnea, a disease where sleep is interrupted when a person's breathing stops. Another sign to be on the lookout for is a changing voice. Paradoxical vocal cord dysfunction can make your voice softer when your lungs are not able to strongly exhale due to a lack of strength or air. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the trend in gas prices.
Plus, we are going to see the clouds and the drizzle, even some fog sticking around for us tonight, but warming up. We'll have those details coming up. Well, it turned out to be a dreary one for us today. A lot of clouds, on and off drizzle throughout the day, and also kind of chilly. Highs only into the 60s, which is a good chunk below where we should be for the middle of May. Still the clouds outside right now. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, temperature 64 in Nevada, Carthage, 62, 66 in Anderson. We have Miami at 67, Chattanooga sitting at 65, 7th and range line. You can see those low clouds sitting at 62. Humidity is up there. Visibility is sitting at about 8 miles, which is going to be dropping as we go through the evening hours. Temperatures sliding back through the 60s as well, eventually into the mid 50s for us later on tonight. You can see the clouds everywhere. Everybody's seeing the clouds across the entire 4-state area, and we have pockets of light drizzle which are sticking around, which will slowly start to taper off as we go through the overnight hours tonight as this wave gets moving, starts to slide on out of here. But I do think with the moisture on the ground, we're going to get some patchy fog in here a little bit later on tonight. But the entire lower 48, besides this wave across the eastern third of the country, not a whole bunch going on. We have this big area of high pressure across the southwest. So this is kind of blocking up our pattern again, keeping us from getting any big storm systems in here, even though we're going to get a cold front in here later on this week. Once that breaks down, then we'll get back to more severe weather like we saw last week. All right, through the overnight, look at the fog building in, especially along and south of I-44, so visibilities are going to be dropping, so watch out for that. As we go through time, clouds slowly break up later on tonight. Kind of cool. We back down to 55 in Nevada, 57 in Monette, Welch 58, Chanute back to about 57. We get partly sunny skies through the morning, lower 70s by noon. Once we get into the afternoon, we'll stop at 4:30. You can see a few isolated showers trying to pop up. Most of us are going to stay dry, but we are going to get some isolated showers across the region tomorrow afternoon. But overall, pretty good, nice day. Clear skies for us tomorrow night. We back down again, upper 50s for overnight lows. And then once we go into Thursday, southerly winds start to pick up. Also, our temperatures start to move up the scale as we approach 80 during the afternoon, even lower 80s once you get into our western counties. And then that next storm system will start to move in once we get into Thursday night and Friday morning with showers and thunderstorms pushing into the region. All right, day planner for you. Tomorrow, 58 at 7, 72 by 12, 76 by 4 p.m., and I think that's going to be our high. Partly sunny skies. Now, as this cold front slides in, as we head into Thursday night, showers and thunderstorms. Right now, it looks pretty late Thursday night into Friday morning, but at least the first half of the day, thunderstorms on Friday, and then this front should sink south once we get into Friday evening, and then we clear out, but we get kind of cool temperatures all the way down into the upper 40s by the time we start the day on Saturday. 76 tomorrow, 79 Thursday, only 69 Friday, kind of a similar day to today, kind of cool, cloudy, gloomy. The weekend looks great, 70 on Saturday, 75 on Sunday. Thunderstorm chances return just about each and every day next week. That's when our severe weather chances will also start to pump back up as well.
And this weekend, just warm enough and just long enough that maybe we can go ahead and mow the lawns. We're going to need it for sure.
My yard is getting a little out of control.
Mine is too. While you're doing yours, you know, come on.
Or vice versa.
Don't count on it. Coming up, cheaper by the dozen. What's happening with the price of eggs? Topping today's Consumer Watch, AAA says gas prices are down nearly $1 a gallon compared to a year ago. The average national price of diesel is also down more than $1.50 per gallon compared to last year. That's good news for millions of Americans who are expected to hit the road for Memorial Day weekend later this month. Scramble up an omelet, the price of eggs has also gone way down. Last year, Midwest large eggs were last week they were just 94 cents a dozen wholesale. That's down from a whopping $5.46 a dozen 6 months ago, according to an independent price reporting agency. Those are wholesale prices. You're likely paying more at your local grocery store. New report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows Americans are carrying a record amount of debt, including credit card debt that's up 17% in the past year. Jared Hill explains.
Using plastic is more popular than ever. Credit card debt remains at a record $986 billion, and most Americans are paying high interest on that borrowed money.
Credit card interest rates are crazy high, even by standard credit card terms.
Lending Tree's Matt Schultz says the average rate is about 21%, and the average balance is nearly $7,300. If you're making only minimum monthly payments, that would take almost 5 years to pay off.
I have a lot of debt. It's partially because I was irresponsible with my money and partially because I was never taught how to manage my money.
Earlier this year, we talked to Jamie Fellman, who racked up about $20,000 in debt and is documenting her attempt to pay it off. She increased her payments and created a budget.
On this side are my categories. On this side is how much I allocate each month.
She also transferred her balance to a new 0% card. Many companies try to attract new customers with a zero introductory rate that goes up to standard rates after about a year.
Another thing that people don't necessarily know that they can do is just call the credit card issuer and ask them to lower your rate.
A survey found 76% of people who asked for a lower interest rate on one of their cards got it.
What's been the hardest part along the way?
Learning how to have boundaries.
Those boundaries have helped Fellman cut her debt in half. She's hoping to pay it all off in less than a year. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Wells Fargo has agreed to pay $1 billion to settle a lawsuit. That lawsuit accused the bank of defrauding shareholders about its progress in recovering from a series of scandals. The bank has operated since 2018 under consent orders that had improved governance and oversight. This comes after shareholders accused Wells Fargo of overstating how well it was complying with those orders. And Americans are holding on to their cars longer than ever. The latest analysis shows the average age of life of vehicles in the U.S. is at a record high. Researchers say the average car on the road is around 12 and a half years old. The sixth straight year they've seen the average increase. An older fleet of vehicles means more repair work will be needed, which will likely cause a surge in aftermarket repair opportunities. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, more on the concern on Capitol Hill today as the debate over artificial intelligence heats up. Why a top AI executive warned Congress to regulate the technology before it's too late. Then on KOAM News at 6, one of two suspects is sentenced on charges that stem from a Newton County murder case. Plus, two people rescued from flash flooding in southwest Missouri share their story and the ribbon cutting for a new track at a Joplin Elementary School. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. With the weather warming up, yoga lovers are finding a new sense of balance by cracking open an ice-cold beer in class. Beer yoga is booming in popularity all around the globe, as Tina Kraus reports from London.
When the instructor calls for bottoms up in this yoga class, she means it.
It's about doing yoga and drinking beer. It's actually quite simple.
Beer yoga was the main attraction at Copenhagen Beer Week in Denmark, with participants seeking harmony both in body and taste.
Because the alcohol sometimes makes you feel more loose and more like going with the flow, thinking a little bit less.
But even the pros admit balancing beer with traditional yoga poses can get a bit tricky.
You know, if you're standing in a downward facing dog, you can't have a beer. But then you can put your leg down and maybe drink from the side.
Breweries around the globe are capitalizing on the concept that's thought to have started in the U.S. Newbies like Selena Voss are hooked.
You forget that there's someone else there. You just do you. There's no judgment at all.
Breathing in. A safe place to sip, where namaste and cheers go hand in hand. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Beer yoga is catching on across the U.S., also gaining popularity online, with some newbies preferring to try it first at home, maybe easing into it by leaving out the yoga part.
Yeah, I'm going to try whiskey lifting. Might as well.
Okay, the rain, for the most part, is kind of slowing down.
Yeah, we still got some drizzle out there this evening. Some patchy fog for us tonight. Most of tomorrow looks pretty good, but we are going to see a few random showers during the afternoon. Warming up. High temp, 76.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.